Hey folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Today we're looking at one of the most ridiculous vehicles on the market. That is the Jeep Wrangler 392. And yes, it is fit with a massive 6.4 liter Hemi V8. So the question is, did Jeep just shove a big engine into the Wrangler? Or is this thing a legitimate off-road competitor? Well, that's what we're gonna find out right now. This one with the Walkaround. So first, the power numbers. 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque out of that engine, and it's hooked to an 8-speed automatic. Now, I think the bigger question is, what else comes on this 392? And to answer that, I first have to tell you that this Wrangler you're looking at right here also has the Extreme Recon package. So this thing has all the option box checked. And when you go for Extreme Recon, you get these. That is a set of 35-inch BF Goodrich KO2s. Now, when this JL launched, Jeep already told us that with a 2-inch lift, you could fit 35-inch tires. So I think right from launch, they eventually knew they would offer this package. So when you go for Extreme Recon, of course you're getting the tires. The other things you are getting include these 17-inch beadlock capable wheels, a 4:56:1 axle ratio, a swing gate reinforcement to support that big spare tire out back, and then a 1.5-inch factory suspension lift, although the Wrangler 392 says it gets a 2-inch factory lift. So I'm assuming this is the 2-inch lift on the 392, then with Extreme Recon added onto it. Now let me hit you with the off-road numbers, and they are impressive. 47.4 degrees of approach angle, 40 degrees of departure angle, just over 12 inches of ground clearance, and then the number that I really like, this thing can ford up to 33.6 inches of water. And one of the things that makes that possible is right up here. Jeep calls it the Hydro Guide. So this thing has a hood scoop that is a functional hood scoop. The air comes in here, and you can see at the back there, there's these little outlet doors. Well, those are gonna let up to 15 gallons of water out in a minute. So if you're running this thing deep enough that you actually have water going through there, it's gonna channel it right out of there. And then it comes into this secondary chamber where there's another little outlet door right there, and eventually gets fed into the engine. This is some pretty cool engineering, and Jeep actually says that if that air intake up there in the hood scoop was to get fully blocked, that's okay. The engine can still run up to top speed. And now, folks, the fun begins. So we're starting off with our ditch crossing, and you know what? I've come to a new section of the ditch because we actually ran this so many times that we wore in these ruts and actually made it easier. So we're going at a fully untouched section. This is the deepest section of the ditch, and I'm just gonna dive in with nothing locked up. I'm not even in 4 low, I'm in 4 high auto. So basically in the least off-road ready mode. And let's just see if the Jeep can do it, or let's see if I have to try again with something locked up. So any ditch crossing, you always want to approach it at an angle. Now here goes my front driver's side dropping in. Ooh, I am rubbing a little bit. It felt like on the rock rails, but so far so good. And now my front driver's side is gonna make contact, and now is the key. Let's see if it'll climb at slow speeds. Oh my gosh. Ridiculous. So capable. This thing just crawled through there. There's honestly not a lot of vehicles that would make that look that easy, but this Wrangler just did. Next test is the offset ruts. Now, if we had 2-wheel drive here, this might slow us down, but of course, this Jeep is full-time 4-wheel drive, so I'm in 4 high auto, and we'll see what happens. Now, the other thing we're gonna do is run this twice. Right now, the sway bar is connected, and then we'll run it once with the sway bar disconnected to see if that makes a big difference with our traction. But right about here, we're gonna lose traction at the front driver and the rear passenger. Oh, okay, a little struggle. Let me put my window up before I shoot water inside. Let's see if it can figure this out. It's spinning at the front driver and the rear passenger, and there we go. So this is 4-high auto, they call it. So it definitely took the Jeep a second there to figure out where to send the power. Oh, it's happening again. Plus it's muddy out here today. These ruts are filled with water. But there we go, still walked on through. Now let's do it again with the sway bar disconnected, and it should be that much easier because it's going to allow all 4 wheels to stay on the ground in better contact. Let's see what that looks like. All right, here's attempt number 2 with the sway bar disconnected. We're going to do the exact same thing, creep through, and it should make it through even easier. Okay, still got light, still struggled for a second, but definitely had more traction than the first time through. Oh, that one had way more traction. And from behind the wheel, you just feel the vehicle doing less. You feel it being pitched up on its edge even less. So as I'm going through there, the tires and the suspension are working, but the Jeep is staying nice and flat. The sway bar disconnect is really handy. Now let's take a look underneath this Wrangler 392. I like to show you the tow hooks first of all, but they're up there on top of the bumper. That is a very easy to access spot. I do like that. Next, we get to this first skid plate, and we'll do the magnet test. That is a steel skid plate. The magnet sticks to it. The other thing that struck me is just how well mounted it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big bolts, 2 underneath there. I honestly feel like I could hang off of this thing. It's so solid. So there's a nice front bash plate, but it is a little short, and it does expose this front differential, and you can see some other people have off-roaded it, and they've scraped this up just a little bit. I would have liked to see this skid plate be a little longer, although it doesn't matter as much when you have 47 degrees of approach angle. Now, the other thing I want to show you guys, and I got to do a little spin around here, is the disconnectable sway bar. And that's the disconnecting sway bar system right there. So you'll see one end of the sway bar slides out of this sheath right here and allows it to articulate freely, which is gonna give you better articulation out of your front end. Now, as I spin around, we can keep on moving back. So you'll see there's just a little strap here, which I think is protecting this exhaust because it does hang kind of low. Oh yeah, another thing I can't forget. This is a true dual exhaust. You can see there's 2 separate headers right there. They come down separately, they come together here, and then they route out to the back, and it's actually a quad exhaust at the back, but this is a real dual exhaust. So as we roll back, we get to a skid plate right here for the transfer case. That's also steel. And then the biggest skid plate on this Wrangler is for the fuel tank, which is also steel. Some brands only put plastic skid plates on the fuel tanks, but Jeep really went serious with the Wrangler here. Now, when you get to the back, you can see you get a solid rear axle, of course, the quad exhaust that I mentioned, and then the full-size spare tire is here, but it hangs off the rear end. Okay, folks, now down into the water, and it's fairly deep, but I'm gonna get a bit of speed up. We'll see if we can't use that hydro guide system. Get some water up over the hood. I don't think we're gonna get quite that deep. Oh, I got traction control kicking in right there. Whoa, traction control, lots of traction control. Interesting. Now, like I mentioned, I have not locked anything up. I'm still in 4 high. I haven't even gone to 4 low. But yeah, through the pit there, traction control was coming on and absolutely killing the power. And then what was interesting is as I come out of the pit and traction control shut off, I got this big jump of power. That's the first time I felt the vehicle sort of being jumpy and having that power right there. And that was the one thing I was kind of scared of. With all of this power off-road, you don't want your Jeep just suddenly surging forward when you don't expect it, which is sort of what just happened to me right there. Now, we're gonna turn around real quick and we're gonna go back down the hill and through the water, but we are also gonna go into 4 low right now because I just wanna feel it and feel what that power feels like through the low range transfer case. So of course, you put it in 4 low, you automatically get the traction control shut off. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into off-road plus mode as well. So now we have all the off-road modes on. And let's see how it creeps down this hill. This is 4 low first gear. This is not hill descent control. This is strictly just gearing. and the gearing is so low. Look how it just creeps down this hill. Of course, modern hill descent control is nice, but I love real gears, and having this this Jeep has both. You can use the gearing, or you can use the button. In fact, you can also use Jeep's select speed. I'm gonna do that now. So select speed is off-road cruise control. It will do the driving for me. You set the speed using your paddle shifters. I've got it at 2.5 kilometers an hour. Nice, and it is creeping me through. Now as I hit the water, let's crank up the speed. 8 kilometers an hour is max speed. So right now I'm not touching the gas, it's all Jeep. It's all the Jeep. Oh, there's a big rock in there. That one really threw me around there. And I might get that wet on this one. Man, it's just super smooth when it's driving itself with that select speed system. And in 4 low, definitely no jerkiness. This thing is absolutely easy to modulate with the throttle. So yeah, you gotta say that I felt it once there, and that was just when I had traction control engaged, and then suddenly it went off. I felt that rush of power. So in that moment, it got a little sketchy with the engine, but besides that, this Jeep is just eating all of our trails for lunch like it's nothing. All right, well, you saw it eat up the hydro line. Now let's see how it does on the left hook, and things are pretty squishy today. Now for this one, I've got the sway bar disconnected, and I have it in off-road plus mode, and I'm back in 4 high, but the real key with off-road plus is it gets rid of your traction control and tailors it to allow some wheel spin, which I think I might need. Oh, there's a big rock under there. Now let's see, I am stuck in these ruts. Oh, nice. Now what about the transition here? Oh, no problem. No problem at all. Now, though, let's see how I climb the rocks. And I'll keep my passenger side tires on those rocks. And just creeping, 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 creeping. Oh my gosh, like they're not even there. And then that's the ridiculous thing, is there's so much power here available that when you do dig into it a little bit too far, the Jeep does have a tendency to jump. But I do have to admit that I have found it pretty easy to modulate this thing and keep it nice and smooth. And again, it's making our trails look so simple. I'll take this chance too to show you what Jeep calls the trail cam. That is a camera up there in the nose, and it gives you those nice tire overlays to show you exactly where your tires are going to be. And then yes, if it gets muddy, you can actually spray it from outside. Now the other thing I'll show you, off-road pages. This shows you what's going on with your drivetrain, how much steering angle you have locked in, all those accessory gauges, and then everyone's favorite, the pitch and roll. Let's see how steep this hill is. 10 degrees, 11, 13. 13 degrees might be the steepest part. Let's see if it gets steeper on this end. These are fun. It's fun to watch as you're going through things. Oh, I saw 15 there for a moment. It's fun to compare to, you know, your buddies on, hey, I went up a 15 degree hill the other day, and actually have some real numbers to back up your claims. And now we're back down in the mud, and oh, hello, we got a new log down on the trail. Well, this is gonna make for an interesting off-road obstacle. Let's see if the Jeep can't hop this log. Actually, it looks a little rotten. It might just explode, but we gonna try. Okay, folks, well, now you can see it. This is a serious log. Now, I'm gonna try to take it on the passenger side as much as I can, because the trail's a little low over there. And I don't know what the log's actually gonna do, if it's gonna move or if it's gonna get crushed. Okay, no, the Jeep is climbing. The Jeep is climbing. Here's the moment of truth. When it comes down the other side, am I sitting on rock rail or tire? I did put it back in 4 low, I'll mention too, so I have all this epic low end torque. Come on, baby. I'm gonna hit it a little bit here. Oh, oh, come on, find some traction. Am I turtled? I think I am fully turtled. Oh my gosh. Hold on, let's see, can I get anything in reverse? Oh, there's a little bit there. It's turned me, so I'm facing the log. Okay, I'm gonna hit it a little. Well, folks, I found an obstacle that the Jeep can't tackle because this log is just too tall, and it's turned me right on the same angle as the log, and it doesn't want to let me turn back. This is going to be a tricky one. We might need recovery gear on this one. Yeah, four-wheel drive ain't helping if four wheels ain't touching the ground, and I can just feel them just spinning out there. Okay, now I don't think I'm going anywhere.
How can you be such an idiot? Christ!
Well, there is the old, you know, I could just get under and try to drag it out way.
Well, how about you bring the ATV over and we pull it out with the winch?
It's not a horrible idea.
Before we move the Jeep.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because I don't like where it's stuck right now.
Yeah,
it's stuck up against the shock mount.
Yeah.
So if we pull it out of the front, then we'll avoid any damage. Yep, let's go get the winch.
All right, sit rep. Dad's walking away to go get the Kawasaki Teryx that we're testing, because we are gonna winch this log out from underneath. There's that massive log stuck under the Jeep, and it just wants to keep coming. And when that tire drops off that log, the weight will go back onto that one. And of course, we don't want to do any damage. This is a good time in the video for me to remind you that this Jeep costs $116,000 here in Canada. Which, you know, if we're going to be honest with each other, I don't own this Jeep, so it's a lot easier for me to come out and beat on it a little bit and do ridiculous things. If I did own this Jeep, I do think I would have a hard time bringing my $116,000 Wrangler out onto a trail like this and trying something like this log. I had no idea what was gonna happen. This is a new obstacle. Luckily for me, the log was rotten, so it split up into many different pieces. If it was solid, we'd be totally turtled right now and pulling this Jeep off of it with the tractor. So that one worked out okay. And again, I think it goes to show you off-roading, you never know what the conditions are gonna be, and you always wanna get out and check things out, take your time, because if you just go for it, like I kinda did, well, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Kawasaki to the rescue, dun da da da! Yeah, exactly, keep swinging, swing your nose. All right, you can come forward a little bit. Driver's side.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty good right about there, yep. All righty, Mr. Warren Winch. Now this is the Kawasaki Teryx Special Edition. Hold on. That was in, but I won't need you because I'll free spool, right? So just hold on. Once I figure it out, there it is. So yeah, this is our Kawasaki Teryx. If you want to see the full review on that thing, go check out our other channel, TK Power Sports and RVs. For now, this is gonna be our rescue machine. Gotta try to get as much of this underneath of here as possible. Oh, nice, actually. It's not even on the ground at the front edge, so that was pretty easy for me. Hook it on itself, and that should do the job, I'd say. Yep, keep going, coming up on it, and there it is. Oh, hold on. Let me just make sure I don't want this touching this tire. Yeah! Ha ha! Kawasaki to the rescue. Yeah, I just back up a foot to give us a bit of space to work. And then we should be back underway. Well, folks, there you have it. There was one thing out here today the 392 could not do. and that was got over a massive log that I don't think many vehicles could get over. Besides that, this thing has just been walking through the trails like they're nothing, eating them up. And this brings us to our next kind of inevitable conversation after you have seen all of that, which is, how does this stack up to the Ford Bronco Raptor, its only real true competitor? And let's talk about that. And now, folks, here we are out on the road. We're off the trail now with this Wrangler, and besides the log incident,
which is why he's not driving anymore today.
Yes, I've been relegated to the passenger seat. Besides the log, I mean, this 392 made everything look easy out there. No clearance issues, tons of grip, good articulation. So now I think that the natural conversation that develops is, how does this compare to the Ford Bronco Raptor? And Dad and I did have a go in the Ford Bronco Raptor, not here on our own trails. We were actually out in New Brunswick. You can see some of that footage here. But we got a really, good sense for that Bronco Raptor. We did off-road it on some pretty gnarly trails. We had a nice long drive on-road as well. And I think my biggest takeaway, Dad, well, I have two big takeaways actually. The first one is powertrain. It's this V8 all day long. It sounds amazing. It feels more powerful. I love the linear progressive power rather than that big hit of turbo. So if I gotta pick a powertrain, it's gotta be the Jeep. And then the other thing that kind of jumped out at me is just how much wider the Bronco Raptor is. The track on the Bronco Raptor is wider than this Jeep is. So on our trails, this Wrangler didn't feel that different from a regular Wrangler, and that's a good thing. It felt small, it felt compact. The Bronco Raptor in a tight trail feels massive because it just is. So that was sort of my biggest takeaways off-roading. Do you think I'm right, wrong?
The one you're going to prefer is going to be based on where you live. Okay, if you got big open spaces, that Bronco Raptor is amazing. It's on 37s. The width, the size of those paws on the thing. I mean, if you're in sand or out in the, like I say, in the desert, it's awesome. If you live pretty much anywhere else like us, where you got trails and there's trees, not so awesome.
Yep, that's a fair point. And again, the Wrangler really felt great out there today. So at the end of this day, after having driven both of them and really taken this one off-road hard, yeah, I find myself leaning more towards this Jeep than I would the Ford. Now, the one other thing I'll say is that the Ford is better on-road. When you're doing what we're doing right now, cruising along the highway, the Ford just simply handles better. It's not quite as busy, feels more planted, but everywhere else, yeah, I think I prefer the Jeep. If I had to lay down over $100 grand on one of these ridiculous performance SUVs, I'd buy a Jeep. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd have to go along with you in this particular case.
Sure. And then, you know what, Dad, with a vehicle like this, it's really all about having fun, and there's a fun button right down here that opens up the exhaust, so punch it and let them hear it.
Yeah, that's fun all day long.
It doesn't get old. Well, folks, we have come to the end of this video. Now, you've seen how this Jeep performs off-road, and it is pretty impressive. But actually, I think the most important part of this 392 is that it's gonna be a collector's item. They're not gonna build this for very many more model years, and this V8 and most V8s are going to go away very soon. So I can already see 10, 20, 30 years down the line, people are gonna be searching for Wrangler 392s. So you know what? Outside of the performance, Jeep has a winner on its hand just because of the reputation of this vehicle. Now, of course, I need to hear from you, so please go in the comments, let me know what you think of this ridiculous Wrangler. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we are testing next. See you.